Hello, viewers and subscriber. Welcome once again on my new screencast. The screencast is uh, the really important screencast for building your application. I mean, the question is, how can you build your applications? Like, how can you pack your applications in respect to the your microservice world? So I mean, if you think about like the older technology was the you can build your application as a jar pack and the webpack, the web archive files, and then you need to install this web archive file into the your Tomcat container. I mean, into your Tomcat container, and then the nowadays there is a technology changes that we are in the microservice world, and then we need to be deploy or packed our application as a standalone jar files, a standalone jar, or I mean the executables jar files, or you can say self-contained, containable, or standalone jar files. If you packed your application as a standalone jar or executable jar, you then you can put these jar files or executable jar files into the installation department or your company artifactory, and then any department from your company or other company or into the cloud, they can pick or they can take these jar files, and then they can install the jar file into the client machines. And this is the really most important screencast for the installation department or development or DevOps uh, practices. I mean, if you are working with a small company, and then you are responsible to build the application, to develop the application and to build the application, and then you need to deploy the application into the client machines, that I mean. So now today is the question. I try to give it to you the all the possibility. How can you build executable or contain or standalone jar files with different building tools? That's the one of the intention for this screencast. So it is really most important. I understand for the beginners it will little bit harder to get it really clearly, uh, and then for the professional, those has some years experience for the development world, and even those some years experience about the deployment world, and then they can understand very quickly. But I try to my best to come up those who are the really beginners, uh, from the really beginner level as like students, and they can start from the very beginning screencast, and then they can continue to all the screencasts that we are trying to do. And then I believe, or we believe, this help a lot into your DevOps culture, or it means your packaging your application with the different building tools like Maven, Gradle, and also the Ant. The Ant is really old technology. We are trying to cover here to give a theoretical experience for Ant, how can Ant is works, but we didn't use any Ant anymore in nowadays. Any application, doesn't matter, in the web application or more mobile device applications or any desktop application. But there is a most popular Maven building tools, and it has many plugins. And even though there's a latest technology, DSL based language based DHL language based technology like Gradle building tools is really most popular for all any platforms, for all devices, or small devices, smart devices, and then laptop, desktop, or whatever it is. All devices is now running the Gradle building tools, and Gradle has really hundreds of the plugins to build the applications and to manage your dependencies, and then build your application as a standalone jar or executable jar or self-contained jar files. So that's I mean, what's the intention for this screencast? Really important and really need to understand how the deployment works, and how the building of the or packing your application. That's the intention for them. If you are new in my channels, you see in my channels, the UVSoftGroup channels, you have a lot of the screencast, lot of implementation of different microservices work for with the Cassandra based microservice implementation, MySQL based, and then Postgres based, Redis based, Gamefire based implementations, and then a lot of the Java web applications based on the Grails and Java front-end technology like Thymely, FreeMarker, and JSF and JFS technology. All the applications that in total maybe there is a 30 or 40 applications. That means those applications you try to, or we try to build as a standalone jar files. Then we packed our application as a jar file and try to deploy any machines in any part of the world. Doesn't matter, in the cloud platform or where network platform. That's the the platform means the cloud infrastructure, or anywhere infrastructure. That's I mean. So that's the intention. That's why the many subscribers and asking me or asking us to give these screencasts to get it idea how we packed all the microservices application as a standalone jar or executable jar with the different building tools. Those who are using the building tool for Maven, they can go with the Maven. Those who are using the Gradle, they can also use the Gradle building tools. We try to cover all the building tools, and then how can you build a packed your application as a jar with the Maven and Gradle. That's the things we are trying to do today. That we started the theoretical part, and I will go one by one. How can you step by step how for building for building or for generating the self-contained standalone jar files. If you already saw my previous screencast in my channels, you can go this year. How can I start? But I didn't cover all part of the building process, and that's why I try to make a really new screencast from very beginning level, and you can get really an idea how we already did the building those application as a standalone jar file, and how can you execute or run or start these executable jar files with the simple command script, or any Spring Boot profilings, or any profiling application profiling like application.properties files or application.yml file. That's the things I will try to give it to you when we start the development step by steps. So let's that's the idea. So you have a 10 to 15 applications. You need to pack those applications. Doesn't matter what type of application is, a web application, a desktop application, mobile device application. You need to build the applications with the standard building tools like Maven and Gradle. So that's the idea today. So you can go back, we can go back to the presentation, not the presentation, what I mean. So you see that there's a many projects already started. We already deploy these projects and make many screencasts in our channels. In the channels, you see one of the example here. So we have a Maven dependence, Maven projects like here, and then we have standalone jar file creations. Just you simply copy the jar file, you version it like here. This way you see the version like 0.1.0.1 jar files, and you have new version just 0.2, and just copy the jar files, standalone jar file, deploy where you try to deploy the jar file with the specific command like your application properties files or YML files or any command line script. That's I'd said I will show you any step of this development. That's only the idea how it works. So you see the many projects I have it. I have a story, or every time I have a Gradle based projects, I build the target, you see the standard target, and build the jar files and copy the jar file into the respective directory. I mean, here if I go GS, you see the all the jar files, executable jar file. You just simply run the jar file and your application is deployed